Okay. Good morning again, and then welcome to the beginning of the week. And this is our third class. And I hope that you have had a refreshing weekend and was able to digest what we have covered and started looking into your project. So welcome to the third day. Today, we'll be looking at, as you can see on the screen, be looking at the results section, some reporting guidelines, issues of tables, figures, and charts. Look at the discussion part of the scientific paper, and then the abstract or the summary. So we'll be covering these sections, and as you can see, there are quite a lot of things to deal with. So it's a marathon we'll be running. What is a speed race? So the first 2 days we were able to set the context, discuss the introduction, and then the method section of the manuscript. Still a reminder that the course link is for you alone, so it's not to be shared to avoid the already many people are coming to say, oh, can I still join and things like that. It's impossible to manage that. So the lecture slides are continuously being updated in the Google Drive. So please find it there. All right. All the materials you need are there. So please find your listing there. The video recording of the course are also updated on our YouTube channel. I can see some of you are already visiting there. So if you want to rehearse certain things, please pick them up from the YouTube channel. And that one you can be generous with that one. All right, you can be generous. Share with your colleagues. Send them there. Let them subscribe. Okay, because we continuously update that channel with all the activities we have, at least to the end of this year. Next year, the courses we organize will be the exclusive reservation of those who attend. And as I've told you, that will be on a cost basis. So we would not like to cheat them. So what we have done so far, you can take them from there. And of course, next year, our seminar series and other activities will also be put on our YouTube channel. So make use of the YouTube channel to pick the recordings. All right, so the rule is that you rename yourself and put your group number. Put your group number to your name. Don't forget that. Makes it easy. The group coordinators, however you have arranged it within your group, please continue to collect the attendance during the breakout sessions, so that it will be easier for us to identify who is who meet the criteria to be given the certificate. All right. Perhaps tomorrow we will share the link for the evaluation of the course to you, so that you can give us your opinion, and from a cross section of you, we will be selecting those who will give a video evaluation, shout out. That helps a lot to convince the nay doubters that something is happening here, and that you have enjoyed it, and that you would like to come again, and that you would like to bring them on board. Yeah, that is always very, very helpful. And if you look at our YouTube channel, many people go to look at the evaluation, video evaluation, than any other thing. And that is why, as you are now, many of you, when we ask for application to the course, you say, oh, I heard from my friend, my colleagues told me. So it's very, very, very important. All right. Yes. Now we have sent this out to you. Perhaps let me copy the link and share the link with you on the chat box, so that those who have not registered, registration has started. This is fully packed seminar series on the 18th. That is next Sunday, where we will be sharing with you all that we have to offer from next year. So don't miss it, because you will see faces of those who have been in the background, having meetings, discussing, and putting some of these fantastic programs together. Come and hear. Bring your colleagues. So I put the link for registration. So register and join us on Sunday. We'll tell a lot of what is coming up. Don't hear it from a second person. Get it firsthand. All right, so that is the link there. You can register to join on Sunday. And that is the title of that will be SFI in 2023 and going forward. What is in it for you? We'll have issues of the SFI journal that is in the pipeline, SFI ambassadors, the courses we'll be running, the conference coming up, the tips and tricks program, bootcamp, match mentoring, SFI membership, SFI research, and many more. Join us and hear what is coming up. And then I mentioned this when we started, on the 30th of December. You wouldn't like to miss this as well. On the 30th of December, we'll have non-fishing expedition. All right. Tips and strategies for searching PubMed, Medline, Embase, Scopus, Web of Science, and Google Scholar. What happened is that during the systematic review and meta-analysis course we run, because of time, limited time, we do not have opportunity to take you through a wide range of databases. All right, we use only PubMed as an example to show you. But this is an extension. This tips and tricks edition is an extension of that, where we guide you through some of the strategies of how you can develop your search strategies, think about them, and then implement your searches across this wide range of databases. All right, so don't miss it. It's celebration time, but you know, many good things happen during, and that is why we intentionally put this very delicious menu at this time. We see those who are serious to join. So don't miss it, because after that you say, oh, I miss. Did you attend that? That is the question I'll ask you when you begin to ask me. Can you help me do this? Did you attend what we planned? All right. Somebody is asking. So you are actually looking for free sessions. If you're looking for free sessions, you would have joined the ones you have had. All right, the free sessions for the semantic review is exhausted. Everything is exhausted. You are the last free people. All right, this is the last course we have for free. From January, we will be trying to expand and, of course, support what we do. It's not easy, trust me. I've said that. So if there is any way you can support. It's good. Good things are good. I remember when I was attending some trainings like this during the time I was doing my PhD. I remember one of the trainings I went for 1 week, running 5 hours a day in the UK. You know how much it cost me? Oh, that was, I remember 2010, and another one I attended in 2014. 2010 1 week was 2,500 pounds, 2,500, over 3,000 US dollars. And in 2014, the one I attended was 2 weeks, 5,500 pounds. So these things can be expensive, but we'll do our best. The benefit is once you are a member of SFI, we have discussed that, and I will tell more about that during the last day of this course. I think before the end of this week, our registration will be open. All right. So there will be a judicious discount for those who are SFI. Our goal is to support you as much as we are able. Okay, that is our goal. So please understand that. So next year the fees starts. So if you register, if it's open in December, that is against next year. So that will take you through. So it's annual membership registration. It will take you through 2023, meaning that the programs we organize in 2023, the members would have discount. So this program comes on the 30th of December. All right. So join us. Yeah, group number 3. Don't think I forgot. I didn't forget. Let's see who is presenting for group number 3. Please raise your hand so I can recognize you. Who is presenting for group number 3? Antonio, are you there?
Yes,
who is presenting, please?
Okay.
Go ahead and share.
Thank you.
Please keep to our rules. If you are not speaking, mute yourself.
Hello.
Go ahead. We're hearing you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm Antonia. Yeah, I'm representing group 3. Our targets are 11 steps to structure a scientific paper editors will take seriously. And just know that writing a manuscript is a step-by-step, is somehow different from writing a thesis, and it's like a checklist that editors will try to follow seriously. The general structure of a paper takes the IMRAD structure, which has the title, abstract, keywords, then the main text.
Antonia, is it possible to have it presentation mode, please?
Presentation mode, okay. Yes. And then the main text is followed by the conclusion, acknowledgements, references, and supplemental data. While this is the published structure, however, we often use a different order when writing the manuscripts. And the manuscript has different length. It ranges from 25 to 40 pages. And there are general guidelines, which include elements. I think from the slide, you can see the elements against the length and the limits. The first step is preparing the figures and tables. Figures and tables are the most efficient way to present your results. A figure is worth 1,000 words, and tables give the actual experimental results. Figure and table legends must be self-explanatory. Don't clutter your charts with too much data. Use the right kind of chart for your data, and then you must pay attention to the use of decimals, lines, and others. Step 2, write the methods. This section responds to the question of how the problem was studied. Do not repeat the details of established methods. Use references and supporting materials to indicate the previously published procedures. All chemicals must be identified. Do not use proprietary unidentifiable compounds. Use standard systems for numbers and nomenclature. Present proper control experiments and statistics used, again, to make the experiment of investigation repeatable. List the methods in the same order they will appear in the results section, in the logical order in which you did the research. In this section, avoid adding comments, results, and discussion, which is a common error. Step 3, write up the results. This section responds to the question, what have you found? Use subheadings to keep results in the same type together, which is easier to review and read. For the data, decide on a logical order that tells a clear story and makes it easy to understand. Generally, this will be the same order as presented in the methods section. You must not include references in this section. You are presenting your results, so you cannot refer to others in this section. Step number 4, you write the discussion. How do these results relate to the original section, to the original question or objectives outlined in the introduction section? You need to make the discussion corresponding to the results, but do not reiterate the results. And while writing the discussion, you should take into account the following tips. Avoid statements that go beyond what the study can support. Avoid unspecific expressions such as higher temperature, a lower rate, highly significant. Avoid sudden introduction of new terms or ideas. You must present everything in the introduction to be confronted with your results. Speculations on possible interpretations are allowed, but these should be rooted in fact rather than imagination. Step 5, you write a clear conclusion. And this section shows how the work advances the field from the present state of knowledge. You should provide a clear scientific justification for your work in this section and indicate uses and extensions if possible. Moreover, you can suggest future experiments and point out those that are underway. You can propose present global and specific conclusions in relation to the objectives included in the introduction. Step 6, write a compelling introduction. This is your opportunity to convince readers that you clearly know why your work is useful. A good introduction should answer the following questions. What is the problem to be solved? Are there any existing solutions? Which is the best? What is its main limitation? And lastly, what do you hope to achieve? Step 7, write the abstract. This abstract is make it interesting and easily understood without the readers reading the whole text because it is long, the whole text. The abstract provides a short description of the perspective and purpose of your paper. It gives key results, but minimizes experimental details. It is very important to remind that the abstract offers a short description of the interpretation, stroke conclusion in the last sentence. And while writing the abstract, there are 2 words that are very important. The first one is what has been done, and the second are the main findings. What are the main findings? Step 8, compose a concise and descriptive title. The title must explain what the paper is broadly about. It is your first and probably only opportunity to attract the reader's attention. Keep the title informative and concise. That is, it should be clear, descriptive, and not too long to bore the reader. You must avoid technical jargon and abbreviations if possible, and dedicate some time while writing a concise title. Dedicate some time to think about the title and discuss it with your co-authors. Step 9, select keywords for indexing. The keywords are used for indexing your paper. They are the label of your manuscript. When looking for keywords, you should avoid words with a broad meaning and words already included in your title. Step 10, write the acknowledgements. Here you can thank people who have contributed to the manuscript, but not to the extent where they would justify to be authors. Probably the most important thing is also to thank your funding agency or the agency giving you a grant or a fellowship. In the case of European projects, please do not forget to include the grant number or references. Step 11, write the references. In the text, you must cite all the scientific publications in which your work is based. But do not overinflate the manuscript with too many references. It doesn't make the manuscript better. Avoid excessive self-citations and excessive citations of publications from the same region. You can use any software. For instance, there is EndNote, there is Mendel, and this will help you to format and include your references in the paper. Then make the reference list and the in-text citation conform strictly to the style given in the guide for authors. In conclusion, just know that writing a manuscript is a journey that you have to go through. It's not that easy. There are challenges, but trust us, if you are patient, then your paper will get accepted. Thank you for listening.
All right, Antonia, thanks a lot. And I hope you got the point here. The group 3 has actually covered the course. We can say, let's call it the end, because all the tips you have been given, isn't it? Is there anything you're lacking there now? It's a well comprehensive paper. They had there covering everything. But as you can see, we have been going through here. It's not as easy as reading the recipe. All right, but it gives you an idea of what is required. All right, so group number 3, later on, send me your slide so that I can put it for others to take on board. Okay.
Prof, it.
Yeah. So on Friday, we talked about writing structures as a guide to help you to formulate your paper in a way that is easy for people to identify where the various information are. All right, that is the goal of the writing structure, to help people to locate your information. And the writing structures vary from journal to journal, from field to field, and so on and so forth. And so when you are planning to submit your paper to a journal, the first thing you do is to see what is their recommendation in terms of structure. All right? But regardless of the structure, at least you can see a scientific paper should have certain items, like we talked about introduction. Introduction is to introduce the topic to the reader and help the reader to understand what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing. And then you have the method section that informs the reader of how you have solved that problem you set out to solve, as indicated in your introduction. And then you have the results. Every paper must have a results section in which you now inform the readers of what you have found. You started with introduction, and then you applied method to address the question. And so the result will report what you found based on what you have done. And then you have the discussion, and discussion will put your paper into context and put meaning around that. And so every paper must have this, but the structure of a scientific paper can vary from place to place. So Adeotun, if you are in group number 1, so indicate with your name group number 1, so that when I am sending when I'm sending everyone to their groups, you can be in that group. All right, so just what you just need to do now is to indicate your group. That is all. We are not joining the groups now. So we started with the IMRAD structure, in which The I is introduction, the M is the methods, the R is the results and the discussion. We went through the introduction and then the methods. The methods. One thing that is clear and revolves around each section of the manuscript is a principle of precision, clarity, and brevity. Precision, clarity, and brevity. Say what you intend to say and say it succinctly. Say it clearly. Say it not quoting it with so many words. Use words that reflect what you have in mind, active words, short sentences, not convoluted phrases. You have to communicate. All right? You have to communicate. Sometimes you hear people say the greatest speech ever given. You can search it on the website. Just search it, see the greatest speech ever given. Perhaps you can watch it and see. Some people argue that the speech of Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream. I have a dream. It's one of the greatest speeches ever. What? Maybe if he was not assassinated as a black guy, maybe they wouldn't have voted. But people may be giving sympathy to that. But what makes such a speech so good? Is it the emotional attachment? But if you read that speech, you see he has his message was quoted with directness, activeness, short sentences, well calculated. And so when you are writing, that is what is expected. You develop a message that can capture people and hold them bound. And it's like you're telling them, you cannot leave me until you finish me. All right? So that somebody picks that up and the person read it. Sometimes we are full of verbose. We have so many things. We say a lot of things when we can say them actually shorter. All right. So the principles of precision, clarity, and brevity are essential across the different sections of the manuscript, and then you can see how it helps you to have a very good paper. But one thing I have stressed since we started is that these skills are not skills that you are born with. They are not skills that you learn in a day. They are not skills that you learn in a week. So don't expect that once I leave this course, from next week, all this thing will be perfect. No, they are skills that you grow in. You continue to grow in. You become better because the more you practice, the better you become in them. So please practice, practice, and practice. When you do that, you see that there will be a trajectory of where you are going. And we will all be happy for it because we will be happy to read your paper. All right. All right. So that was what we went through last week. Any question? Any doubts? Anything that is bothering you? Anything that is unclear? Please.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. I just want to ask that, can we have all these nuggets so that we can revise it over time and time on our perfect level?
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
so that's why I have asked the groups to send their presentations. Each group send your presentation, and I will put them together for everyone to pick up from the Google Drive. Yeah, so you have possibility of having them as far as the groups send their presentations to me.
Okay, well done, Doctor.
Yeah, who is I see one hand there. Patience, please. So if you want to speak, just kindly raise your hand so that we can coordinate this.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
I want to ask for the introduction part. After applying the funnel method, are we still going to specify or just put it into the purpose part, the purpose of the work?
I didn't get that, Patience, because
supposed
your
to
line went off.
Oh, sorry. I say for the introduction of our manuscript, after applying the funnel
approach,
yes, are we still going to leave another space for aim and objective before going to the methodology?
Okay, I get your point. I get your point. This may vary from discipline to discipline. Okay, but what is usual is that as you see the funnel part, the last paragraph that can contain the purpose of your study and the approach you want to use to a summary of that, usually where you state your aims and objectives. So you don't have another section where you have aims and objectives. But some fields and some journals may ask that. It is not common, all right? Where you have that commonly is in the thesis, where you have a section dedicated to aims and objectives. But in a scientific paper, it's not common. It is integrated into the last paragraph of the introduction, unless your journal specifies otherwise.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Then I have Christopher Wako.
Yes, Professor, thank you so much for the review. My question is one, when we are writing research questions from the objectives, are there circumstances where you can write a few questions or even one question that encompasses all the research objectives, or it's a must?
You can do that. You can do that. Okay. Christopher, did you hear me? Christopher is gone. Yes. So you remember we started this course by asking a question. Scientific writing, is it a science or is it an art? And I would like to take you back to that discussion. Is it a science or an art? And I told you that many scientists have failed in their writing culture because they only focus on the scientific part where the rules are specified. You have to do this, you have to do that. All right. Now, the artistic part is where you use your natural artistic prowess to construct your text in a way that it attracts the reader and keeps the reader. So what Christopher was asking is, in the last paragraph, it is not necessary that you always state the aim of this study is this, the COVID. I mean, the aim of this study is to see the effect of COVID on school attendance. And of course, we all know the answer to that question, is it not? But you can take it another way to say, is there a possibility that the COVID pandemic affected school attendance? All right. This effect, for instance, did it affect men and women the same? Public and private school the same? Rural school and urban school the same? So you can use questions to develop an interest in what you're doing, not only stating the aim. So I think that is what Christopher is trying to ask. You can combine it with your aim. You can use only question to provide insight into what your research is about to do. Yes. So use your artistic prowess to really construct every section of your scientific paper, and you can do that even in the introduction. Christopher, are you back? All right. I hope it's clear. Okay, I have Margaret. Agatha.
Greetings,
MBA.
Bob. Yes. Mine is just a subtle request for the slides of these lectures. I'm somebody that likes to go through something I've learned while it is still fresh in my head to review, to ensure that I have understanding. I know you intend to share these slides, probably much later, but I don't know if we can be getting the slides as the days go by, so we can.
Margaret, are you just joining us today?
No.
Have you been
I've been
here since we
from
started?
One.
Ah, okay. It means that you are not doing what I ask you to do, Margaret.
Okay.
It means that you are not going to. The first day we started this course, I said something. Make the Google Drive your best friend for this course. That was what I said. And so if you have been doing that, you see that all that we have, the slides we have done are all there already.
I just sold myself out.
you see, you have missed a lot. If you read and you follow the lectures, you will see that you have missed a lot. It's there. Okay. And after today, this one will be put there.
All right. Thank you, Prof.
Make the Google Drive your friend. It's a lot of materials are there that if you don't go there, you miss them.
Thank you, Prof.
All right. So somebody is asking me here, what is the difference between aims and objectives? Goodness me. Who is that? Mengui Yolande. Anyway, can somebody help us? Because I think we dealt with this question the first day. What is different between aims and objectives? Anyone wants to add something? All right, I have Reham Radwan, please.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
The aim is something more general, but the objectives have to be smart, specific, time-bound, measurable, but aim is far, not time-bound, so it's more general than the objectives.
Mm-hmm. Is there anyone who disagrees with Reham?
No.
Well, I had Portia. Portia, I saw your hand. Did you want to add something?
Yes, Prof. Yes, I wanted to say that the objectives, they are the breakdown of the things that you do to achieve your broader aim, which is the bigger picture, reflecting your topic. So the step-to-step activities that you are going to undertake to reach the bigger aim. Just something. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And I see Mona Hamed. Mona Hamed, you seem to be disagreeing with what they have said. Is that the case? Can you expatiate your yes there? Mona. Is Mona still there? Okay. I mean, can you speak? Can you speak, Mona? I think speaking is quicker than writing. Although I know speaking is not everybody's thing. You have sore throat. Ah, okay. Sorry, Mona has sore throat. But I think Portia and Reham have hit the nail on the head. I have Habimana.
Yes, please. Good morning, every participant. Taking greetings from Kigali, Rwanda. My question, I have a question, not contributing to other question.
Yeah, okay. I will come
others.
back. I will come back to you, Habimana. If yours is the question, I have Mengwe who asked this question, raising the hand. Let me see. Is your question answered?
Is a clarification.
Good morning, Prof. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I asked that question because if I remember well, someone raised an issue related to objectives. And you said objectives are what you set out to do. That is if I got you well. But then my knowledge of aim and objective, just like one of us said, I know that aim is what you set out to do. And then the objectives are the things that you do to achieve the aim. So I just wanted to get that little clarification because I don't know. Maybe I got a little bit distracted and I did not hear you talk about aims.
Yeah, what you said is right, and I agree with what Reham and Portier have said. All right.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, sir.
the first day, then I added this part I want to say now. This is my opinion. Many times we spend too much time trying to distinguish what is aim, what is objective. And that is why if you listen to me, I use mostly research question. That is what you want to solve. So whether we make distinction between aims and objectives, and maybe we argue on them, is less important compared to the question we want to address. That's the first thing. The second thing is that there is a variation in culture across disciplines in how these terminologies are also conceptualized and used. But in general, the aim is a broader perspective. It's like you say, you are coming to Sweden. All right, you are coming to Sweden. My aim is to go to Sweden. And now, your objective will outline what are you going there to do? What means are you taking? When are you coming back? Or if you're not coming back? All right. And these three things I've said now are ingredients of you are going to Sweden. All right. I will stop there. Perhaps it's clear enough. All right. Habimana, please go on.
So thank you very much. I have been in confusion many years ago, but I hope that today I'm going to get some clarification. I need to know the difference and the similarities between justification and the significance of research study. I used to read from a different guideline of research development from different high learning institutions. Then I used to see those two subtitles, justification and significance. But I don't really understand what the content to be found in this part. Thank you, Prof.
All right. I agree with you, Abimana. Those concepts can be confusing sometimes, and they are still confusing. And I don't think they will stop being confusing. All right. But is there anyone who is here who can help to differentiate between justification and significance? Anyone? Let me see who is raising the hand for that. If you're raising your hand for that, just speak, because I see other hands that have been there. I'm not sure which one is.
Yes, thank you, Prof. Let's
All right,
Portia.
Portia. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, please. First and foremost, I would like to say that for the significance and justification, depending on your institution, they may choose one. Some places may ask you to write on both. So significance of the study is simply telling us the importance of your research, the importance or the benefits, why you are conducting this research, what is set out to do. For instance, if it's going to influence policy formulation and stuff like that. But the justification tells us the rationale. So for those who are not convinced, you need to go on explaining into details the rationale for conducting the research in the form of trying to win their attention or understanding. So that's what I would want to add. But in some institutions, they will use them interchangeably. Thank you.
Thank you, Portia. I think that was quite helpful. To add to that, I will describe it in this way. All right. I remember somebody was asking a question, I think the first day when we are discussing the issue of aims, and to contrast that with hypothesis. And I said the aims or objectives or research question, whichever you use, are the things you want to do. Okay? And then the hypothesis is your proposal of what you will get from what you are about to do. You have not done it, but you already, maybe you're a prophet, or you're a scientific prophet. You're already indicating what your result will be. All right, it's called hypothesis, so that once you have done it, it is possible that what you have envisaged will happen will not happen. Then you can reject what you have stated a priori. All right. Now, in the case of justification and significance, and I say it depends on, I agree with what here, your institution or your discipline. The justification actually states why you want to do what you're doing. What is your motivation? Should you be doing it? All right. What is your rationale for doing that? And that can come from, let's say you want to look at infant mortality. Children are born, and after a few months or up to 1 year, they die. And you're wondering why they die, why are children dying? Something needs to be done about this. So I want to do a research to uncover why the children are dying, because our children cannot be dying. All right, that is a justification to provide a premise and rationale for doing what you are doing. And I agree with what Portia said. Significance is the importance. When some institutions use them interchangeably, both the justification and the significance can refer to the same thing as important. And what I've described now, children dying, is an important topic to research. And so in that case, the justification and significance don't have a dividing line. All right, you find it difficult to separate them. But the importance now, in terms of significance, if you have it separated, that importance is, if you do this research, what will you get from it? And the importance is, we will be able to find the cause of children dying. We'll be able to stop it. We'll be able to have young people who grow to become adults. And when they grow to become adults, we'll be able to benefit from the workforce. The society will be a happy place. So you can see this importance now is coming out as a result of the research you have done. All right? So that is the significance. In some leaning, they are called impact. All right? Impact in some leaning. But I don't want to use the word impact so much. When you come to the grant writing course, we talk about impact so much. And impact, we talk about the indirect benefit of your research. Once you have your research finding and what you have found is implemented in real life, what happens is that there's some indirect benefit. The society will be a happy place. Children will grow, and the workforce will be there to do the work, and so on. Our schools will not be empty. Okay? But the justification, when you separate justification and the significance, justification is, why did you start the study in the first place? All right. Any question on that? I hope it's clear enough. I have Daniel also, please.
Thank you, Prof. I just want to make this clarification on objectives and outcome. Sometimes the two look alike. What's actually the difference on specific objectives, outcome? And then some times they say outcome measures. So is there a little confusing?
This
and then
class,
the other one.
This class is thinking. This class is thinking. People are thinking. Yeah, you want to, is it related? The second one you want to ask is related, or we can take this one first, then you can ask that one.
It's still related somehow. Sometimes the issue again is on this hypothesis which you talked about. Is it to be directed to is it to be deduced from M or primary objective? You know, sometimes because sometimes one will say not more than 2 hypotheses or 3 like that. But you know that sometimes specific objectives can be so many. And then the issue is, where do you base your hypothesis? Is it deduce it from M's and M's, or from primary or secondary objective? I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me take the second one. The hypothesis is actually deduced from the objectives. All right? Because the hypothesis as the objective should be measurable. The hypothesis should be measurable. So it's usually deduced from.
The parent of Buakani Ibrahim.
All right, thank you for. All right, so the hypothesis is deduced from the objectives. All right, because it needs to be measurable. That is that one. The first one you ask is a very important question. And I don't want to go to the grant. When we do the grant writing course, we go into details about these issues, the outcome. All right. Now, what happens is that when you do your study, you have things that fit into the study. You have your objective that you have stated, for instance. And then you have tools used to investigate that objective. And those tools include maybe you use questionnaire, or you collect blood samples, or make interviews, and so on and so forth. So those are the tools you use to investigate your study. And now you investigate your objective. All right. Let's say, for instance, I use the impact of flooding on what can we, anybody who can give me example? Impact of flooding on
agricultural activities of farming.
Agricultural activities of farming. Huh?
Child fertility.
What? Child fertility?
Nutritional status of children.
Stunting of
Stunting.
children.
That is the one I've heard now. I heard the other one, agricultural activities of. Okay, stunting. Flood. The other people were speaking so low. Stunting. Okay, we're talking about flooding, impact of flooding on stunting. All right. And how do we do that study? We mentioned last time we could go and collect children who have stunted. All right, who stunted, and then we'll collect children who have not stunted. And then what we do is we measure stunting, and then we begin to ask the parents, where did you live when you were pregnant and when this child was maybe up to the age of 5 years? I said, I lived in this place. And then you take notes. When you were pregnant, was there flooding? All right, because what you want to understand is that if flooding has impact on stunting, and then you have collected from all the children, parents of all the children that had that were stunted. All right, and then you go to the children that were not stunted. We call them control. And then you ask the same question. And when you ask the same question, then you are able to measure the children who are stunted. Were they more likely to live or go through the issue of flooding? And you can use some estimates. You can use some calculations to calculate. Sometimes you can calculate maybe ratio estimate, means, and things like that. Compare the two groups to see whether living in a place of flooding was more likely to increase stunting. And then you can make conclusion. You see, those estimates you receive, okay? Those estimates you receive from the study that gives you the answer as to why, whether living in flooding increases the chance of stunting are called, what are they called? Anyone who can help me?
Outcome measures.
No, not outcome measures. I'll come to the outcomes measures. What are they called?
Dependent and independent variables.
No, I mean those estimates you get that now gives you the indication that living in a flood place increases your chance of stunting. Those estimates.
Risk factors, indicators.
And independent factor.
Nope.
Causality.
Nope. It is very simple. It's very simple answer, but I know
Predictors. The impact, the recommendations.
Nope.
Hypothesis. Impact of the recommendations that we will give.
Nope.
Yeah, the impact of flooding on community.
So the estimate that gives you the information that the flooding Those are called
Hypothesis.
those are called results.
Result.
Those are called results. Because we're talking about results today. You see, you have done all this investigation, you have done all this, you have done your analysis, and you have found this estimate. Let's say it is a risk factor, or it's a means you have calculated. And you say, oh, I can see living in a flooding place increases your chance of stunting. And then you can even quantify it compared to children who don't live in a flood place. Living in a flood place can increase your chance of stunting by, let's say, 50%. Those are called results. Is it clear?
Yes.
All right, up to that point is clear. Then the next thing is, having discovered that flooding increases the chance of stunting, and you have found evidence for that, the next question is, what do you do? What do you do from there? Can anyone ask what is the next step from here?
Yes, sir.
We'll discuss the results.
You discuss the results, and then
You formulate the recommendation.
you formulate a recommendation. Is it?
Find the conclusion and then make a recommendation.
Publish.
You publish, okay?
You need
Direction
to
for future research.
Direction for future research, okay?
you need to confirm your results with your hypothesis.
No, let's say we have confirmed. We have confirmed.
Yes.
Limitation of the study.
Let's say the result we have confirmed.
Okay, you state the gap.
I'm not talking about what you're doing in that. You have published that paper. What is the next step in terms of taking this evidence forward?
Of your next
formulation to the authorities.
Implementation.
Implementation, taking the result into practice, formulating policies, and so on. Those things you do are the things called outcome. Okay? We have talked about the result. Results are the ingredient you get that helps you to answer your question. What the next step you do in taking the answer into practice is called the outcome of your research. All right? And that outcome will lead to providing strategies that will stop flooding or minimize flooding. All right? When you minimize flooding, what happens to the research question you have done?
You've answered it.
Yeah, but what happens? What do we get?
Answer.
What is answer?
The answer to the research question.
What is that answer?
Solution. The response. The response. Contribution.
The stunting will stop. The stunting will stop, isn't it?
It is.
Because our goal is to reduce stunting. And so if we do this, what happens is that we want to end the stunting epidemic in our community.
Okay, that is the impact of the study.
No, that is not the impact. That's not the impact. Okay. That is the outcome. Okay. The outcome is the direct impact of your research. All right? Okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, the next thing is, once there is stunting, what is the impact of stunting in the society? What does stunting do?
Maybe delivery complications in future, poor cognitive development, poor cognitive development. It can affect workforce. People that are stunted cannot do certain work.
I see all those things you have mentioned now are true, but your research did not go to solve those problems, did it?
No.
What your research went to is to stop stunting. All right? Yeah.
Yes.
But all those things you have mentioned now are part of the issues that stunting brings, but you didn't address them. And so once you have stopped stunting, there are indirect impact your research actually has that you didn't target to do. Those ones are called impact. Impact are long-term benefits you get from doing that research. You didn't target them, but they begin to have what we call ripple effects. So now let me summarize what I've said. You do your research. The thing you get from the research is the answer you get is called results. All right?
Okay.
And what you do with your result is called outcome. Outcome of your research. And the outcome is the direct impact of your research. The impacts, which I mentioned in some contexts, they use significance, are the indirect benefit the society gets in the long term because of your research. All right. And now, this is not grant writing course. Don't think that I will give you everything we do in the grant. I will not give you. I'll give you. Now, when you're writing your grant, okay, there's something we will talk about. The grant, the decision makers, you know, the first thing they will look at, they will ask, what is your impact? If we fund this research, what will we get in the long term? How would the society benefit? So some grants application fail because they can't identify the impact. They have results, they may have outcome, but outcome are short term. They want in the long term, if we implement this research, what is the impact? All right. So Daniel, I hope I have answered the issue of outcome. That is outcome. But I know your worry. I know your worry now. Your worry is sometimes in your study, you said my outcome measures. Okay, my outcome in this research, that outcome, that one is different. Even though we use the same terminology, but that one is different. When you hear it or when you read about it in the study, that one is different. That outcome is, and particularly in the context of epidemiology, in the context of health sciences or medical research, these are used quite often. They have exposure, they have outcome, or they have independent variable, they have dependent variable, and so on and so forth. Actually, the outcome in the context of having it in your study, that is the same thing as the dependent variable. It means the thing you want to change in your study. All right. In the context of what I've said now, your outcome measure is stunting. All right. So when you make calculations, that outcome measure is what you actually put in your statistical analysis. That one is different from the outcome of the project we have just talked about now. All right. I hope that is clear enough for you.
And then objective, primary, objective, yeah.
Objective. I answered that one first. Objective is what we have talked about, the measurable goal of your study. All right. And so now the outcome measures will be identified in your objective. So for instance, my aim of this study is to investigate the impact of flooding on stunting. All right, that is my aim. But my objective may be to see if flooding during the last 5 years in this community led to increase in stunting among children 5 years and below in that community. That is my objective. And that is so measurable because you identify the place, you identify the people, all right? You identify the timeline. It is measurable. Okay? So that is your objective. And so it is this objective that will allow you to develop the instrument you will use, to select the people you will study, and then how you will do your analysis.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
All right.
Thank you,
Okay,
Prof.
sorry, sir. A little clarification for that. So if I'm listing the outcome measures now, I will list, can I say rate of stunting, incidence of flooding as outcome?
Yeah. No, your outcome measures are what the flooding affects.
Okay.
What the flooding it's possible that you're looking at stunting. You may also look at low birth weight. You may also look at infant mortality. Those ones that the flooding affect are the outcomes.
Okay.
Outcome measures.
Thank you very much. I've never had it like this before. Thank you, Prof.
All right. I have Asimua Ngande. Ask you, then we will. Okay. El Hadi, I know you can't raise your finger, raise hand button.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Prof. About what you are saying, I want to know if we can call outcome effects like short-term results. That's my first question. And second one is when you get your outcome or results, and these results, that result is different from your hypothesis. What you are going to do? Thank you.
I mean, if you have stated your hypothesis and then you get a result that does not agree with your hypothesis, then you reject the hypothesis. Okay, and which is fine. That is what we want to. And that's why I said that unless you are a scientific prophet, then you say, I have seen it, but I will still do it. No, we don't do like that. You make a what they call an educated guess. This is likely what it would be. Then you state that hypothesis. Then you give room that you do your study, and it may not be as you have stated it. And if it's not the way you have stated it, then you reject your first proposal and then discuss the new finding you have found. And then, yes, effect is the same thing as the results. All right. The effect is the same as the result, and then you have the outcome. They are short-term, exactly. The long-term impact of your result are the impact I've mentioned, that you don't target in your study, but they become the ripple effect that your study bring about. All right, I have Paul Sefako.
Yes, Prof. Good morning. This is Pearl Sefako from Ghana. My question is related to what Prisha said. I wanted to find out whether the justification can be interchangeably as statement of the problem. Thank you.
I didn't get that.
Whether we can use justification.
Yes. That is another term people use.
Okay,
sometimes you see people call it statement of the problem, or they call it rationale. All right, rationale, statement of the problem, or rationale. It just like my kids, they start doing something, or somebody goes and start you know, their hands are always busy trying to do something, start picking the candles and breaking the candles at the dining table and messing up. And I go there, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And they shake their head. Oh, why are you doing this? There is no reason whatsoever. They don't felt like doing it. Okay, their hands are sensitive, so they just keep picking it up, and breaking the candles there, and they don't have reason for doing that. Okay, you have to pack it up. All right, but when we do research, we don't do it in that way. We have to have a reason why we do it, and that is why I started that many people do research because they want to be promoted. If you are doing that, you need help. We will send you to intensive care unit of academia to help you. Okay, because Africa has lots of problems, and so if you're researching and they ask you, why did you do this, like you raise your hand like this, well, don't you know if you don't publish, you will not? Is that why you're doing that? No, we have to have a reason, a genuine reason, concern for our society, our discipline, to contribute to knowledge. So you have to have justification or rationale, or state the problem actually that you are about to address. Okay, I have El Hadi Awoda. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just add input for the after the outcome is the result of the future result of your proposal. When you are writing proposal, you have at the end to write with the outcome. That means if you have preference, the preference will be low or high, and the output how it be in the community, as you said, the significance or the impact. Thank you. The output.
All right, thank you. And finally, I have Doris, please. Doris Anna.
Hello, Prof.
Emene.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
Prof. Yes,
Good morning.
Good, Prof. Well done, Prof. Please, my both contribution and my question is in the area of difference between justification and statement of problem. I did my PhD at University of Ibadan, and we were made to separate both. We were made to understand that statement of problem talks about one. It starts with the problem, maybe the problem on ground, then the knowledge gap. Why I want to do it, because maybe there's other people have not done this. You want to now do this, then what you want to do. Then for justification, right? Because there are limited resources, and maybe in that area, many people want to do the same thing. Why do you want them to choose a particular topic? That in that area you have to make the benefits or the justification why your own should be selected and not others. So I don't know. We are made to write it differently, and we understood that there are a bit different statement of problem and justification. So
I agree with you. I agree with you, Doris. Some institution can go to that length, and actually, in some cultures, what you have just described now, they call it delimitation. Delimitation. Trying to carve out why you in that topic, why you wouldn't do certain things, but you focus on certain things. All right. But all in all, I think the key thing here we are trying to pass on is that when you do your research, there should be a reason for doing it. And you have to state that reason that is convincing. All right. And that is the justification. And in some places, the statement of the problem is not separated from the justification. It's integrated into the justification. But if your institution makes it a requirement for you to separate them, of course, approach that. But just for you to know that in some places, when it's separated, they don't call it justification, they call it delimitation of your research topic. All right. I think we will take a 10 minutes break now. Then we'll continue. We have talked for 1 hour and 30 minutes now. So let's come back at 20 minutes to the next hour. Okay, welcome back. Let's continue. For those who are just joining, I will put the link again. I'll put the link again to the upcoming seminar series, SFI seminar series on the 18th of December. That is the one that is coming now. So please register. I implore you register so that you can come and hear some of the things we are planning and see how you can identify yourself with that. The goal is that I tell you, if some of you who have not been following us, the feedback I get, those who have started following us for some time now, is that there is a positive impact. There are testimonials coming out from these interactions, the courses, the seminar series, the tips and tricks. And next year we have fully packed programs we want to bring on board. We mean business when we say that we want to change the narrative of the contribution of African science. We mean business, and we're getting there. So don't miss the opportunity. Join this conversation, contribute your quota. Many of the activities we have are spearheaded by volunteers, very noble, hardworking men and women who are pushing forward to see how this vision can be achieved. So please register and join us on Sunday so that we can progress this discussion and the other activities going forward. Okay, let's move on. Just to remind you that scientific writing is a process of effectively communicating the results of scientific research and the processes that led to obtaining those results. All right? Effectively communicating. So communication is an important aspect of scientific research. The only thing here is that the audience, when we talk about scientific writing, the audience is specific and is specific to the professionals in that area. All right? So we are communicating to our fellow scientists. And because the audience is specific, the language is now tailored towards the audience. And the first day, I differentiated scientific writing from science writing. Those who were here the first day will start. Is there anyone who can help? What is difference? Anyone who can? I just need one hand. Scientific writing versus science writing. Anyone? All right, I have Edna Azikwe. Please. Edna, go ahead. I see Edna's hand, but I don't hear her voice. Anyway, so science writing.
Yes,
okay, Edna, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought the major difference is that for the scientific writing, the audience is professionals. The major audience are those in that particular area. Then for the science writing, it could be general, and the language used for science writing is more precise, down to explain to all involved. But why for scientific, they also use the language of that particular profession, depending on the particular group of individuals. They're usually specific compared to the science writing, where general groups different groups can come together, but they have discussions whereby they end up getting the general knowledge that is needed, and the language is also very simple.
All right. All right. Okay, just give me a minute. My daughter is calling me. Let me see what she has, then I'll come back. All right, sorry about that. Okay, yeah, thanks, Edna. The scientific writing, as indicated, scientific writing is targeted at scientists. So we have our technical languages we use. But science writing is popular message scientists provide to those who are non-scientists. They can be ordinary people on the street. They can be journalists. They can be funders. They can be everybody aside scientists. All right. That is science writing. So the audience is different, and the audience will usually determine the language we use. So effectively communicating the results, and not just the results, but the processes that led to obtaining those results. It requires a storyline that is clear and understandable. And we went through the issues of precision, clarity, and brevity. Now let's talk about the results section. Having gone through the introduction and methods, let's go through the results section. The results section now, you have started with an aim, what your study is about, and you have applied method you have chosen to address the aim or your objectives or research question. And then the results section is a section of the paper where you actually present your findings, what you found by applying that method. So you can see a thread that is going on in a scientific paper. And that is why I talked about telling a story. All right. So you have applied the experiment, or however you have done it. You have done interview, you have done focus group discussion, you have collected data, you have measured things, you have counted animals, you have, and you have analyzed. The data is crunched. All right. You are set now. I have what I went for. What remains is presentation. What it remains is to tell a story of what you have got out of the exercise you have. And so whether you're presenting to the scientists, as we're talking about here, ordinary people, you need to bring your artistic acumen. You need to bring your artistic acumen to bear. Does everyone hear me clearly? Somebody said, Teresa says she can't hear me clearly.
Yes, sir. We can hear you
You
clearly.
can hear me clearly. All right. So Teresa, check yourself there.
Yes.
All right. So it is very important when you are telling the story. You see, sometimes this is personal. This is personal. You see, our women are very, very artistic. When I asked that day, does anyone find this difficult? And if you say introduction, I find it difficult too. Is there anyone who finds the results section difficult here?
No.
Yeah, I found that the results is difficult.
It's difficult.
Yeah, the most important one.
No, I don't. What do you mean by most important? Is it
difficult to discuss or?
No, I mean presenting your results.
Okay, presenting the result.
Is it difficult?
No. No.
It's not difficult. Goodness me.
I think because we have to be, it should be well presented, and to present our results to transfer the message.
If it's not difficult, then we should skip this section then.
It's very difficult. Presenting results, it's okay, you can present, but to present in a way that it will be very articulate, it's a problem.
That is a man speaking now.
I think to an extent, presenting results sometimes can be very stressful, given that you need to make sure the results actually match or answer the research questions that you set out for, or
Okay.
meet the research problem that you actually wanted to investigate into, or that
All
you
right.
wanted to provide answers into. So you keep going back and forth because
So
you need to make sure
Yolande, you think it's stressful?
it's stressful and difficult sometimes.
It's difficult sometimes. Okay. Yeah. If Ijoma, Ife, all right.
Yeah, for me, presenting the results is difficult, especially when I'm trying to present it in such a way that it is less complicated. I would like to bring beautiful figures and some acts that sometimes I don't know how to do. I have to rely on some softwares that you have to pay for them to, bring out your results in such a way that it is beautiful to present, it is less complicated, and then it's eye-catchy. Even when
Okay.
you
Let me stop here. Why I'm saying this is, I started by saying our women. Then I wanted to hear the voice. I'm hearing more of women too. Women are very artistic. Goodness me. From painting the lips to the eyes to the nails to the clothes. They are very artistic. Sometimes I wonder, can't they also transfer this artistic acumen to but now you come, it is very difficult, stressful. Anyway, what can we say? For men, David has, for men, I can understand. Men, I can understand. Okay, I can say, yeah, it's difficult for us, but women are very artistic. But science is different from that. The inborn artistic powers. Anyway, presenting the results requires some strategies. It's not that straightforward, okay? But you can reduce the amount of stress. You can reduce the amount of stress that you go through this when you appreciate the thread that goes on here. The thread that goes on here from the introduction. My introduction sets the scene for me to deal with a problem. And then I have used a method to deal with this problem. And now I want to tell a story of what I have found. You see, I mentioned last week that one of the easiest places to start writing is actually the methods. And the other easiest way is the results, because it's actually telling a story of what you have found. And if you think about this in real life, what you have seen, what you have touched, what you have found is not difficult to tell. Although many people have different abilities to tell a story of their encounters, but the result section is actually telling the story of what you have found. So it's a place where every word, graphic, and data point contribute to telling the story of your paper. You have to be simple, you have to be short, you have to be clear. I say here, the reader is the king. The reader is the king. And why I say the reader is the king here is that the story you're telling, you're not telling it to yourself. Okay, you're telling to somebody to understand. If it's to yourself, then there is no need to tell it because you already understand what your result is. You already understand that. but you're telling it to somebody else and you want the person to be in the same mindset as you. All right. So the reader is the king, because if the reader doesn't understand what you have told, then you have spent your time worthless. So when you report, you have to report with the reader in mind, and you keep asking yourself this question: would you understand what I've said here? Is it clear enough? Is it complicated? Okay. You have to ask those questions. Okay. So that you do it well. The results section is a place where you make the case for the idea in the paper. I've said this before: the introduction propose an idea. The method describe how the idea was tested. The results justify the idea with evidence. Okay? And so think about this. Think about this is what your result is all about. So you see people go, they have done tests, they have done means, they have done this, but the purpose of presenting what they are presenting, they don't even understand it. They don't understand it. When my PhD students come, the first thing I tell them is, at least they are starting to navigate their way in terms of going through the scientific journey to communicate. These are skills you learn. So I tell them, go and do it first. At least the descriptive part, do it and come. And when they come, we sit down there for 1 hour and we'll go through the research question you have asked. And we have used a method. How do you want the people to understand actually what you have done and what you have found? Is it the story you want them to know? So you have to think about it. Is there something extra you can bring? What you have told here, is it going to confuse them or make it easy for them to understand? This is dragmatic part of what I have just said. There is always a saying that data speak for themselves, but they don't. Data don't speak for themselves. This is the right saying. Data don't speak for themselves. You must make them to speak. You must communicate your understanding and interpretation of your data to the reader. So if you think, well, data speak for themselves, everybody should, no. You have to make sense of that. You have to unbundle it. You have to guide the reader. And I told you that scientists and writers are so powerful because you can direct people to what direction you want them to go by the use of your pen and your ability to use that very well. So the data you have and you have crunched, obtain your results, you can use that to make lots of sense. Remember also, data and results are not the same. Oh, what happened? Sorry, let me stop sharing this. Okay. Please, you can help us mute yourself. You can help us mute yourself. All right. Let me do this. So data and results are not the same. Data are facts, numbers, and observations, and usually presented in tables and figures as raw data or summarized way. All right. Results are statements in the text that interpret or explain what the data show. I hope you understand what is happening here. And the section we're dealing with is called the results section. It means that in the results section, you have the data and you have the results. So the data will appear, they are the numbers there. But the results are your statement of interpretation of those numbers, so that the reader can understand. Don't present data, but results. Don't discuss or interpret your results. In this section of the results, don't interpret or discuss your results. Don't present data, present the results. Don't report background information. Don't attempt to explain your findings. Don't ignore negative findings. Don't include raw data or intermediate calculations. Don't be subjective. Don't present the same data or repeat the same information more than once. Don't confuse figures with tables. These are some don'ts. All right? And that is why in the results section, you need to be quite explicit. You need to be compassionate. You need to be clear, because you want your message to pass through. All right? Imagine somebody who went to the moon and he comes back and is asking, oh, they ask, what did you see? That person will confuse the whole world. You need to come back and then you tell a story that is clear for people to understand. Okay, I have Matti here.
Yes, sir. I raise my hand to understand what you mean by don't report background information. Background information, what does it mean?
Okay. You know where the background comes in your scientific paper?
Yes, sir.
Where does it come?
The introduction.
Introduction. The result part is not where you begin to say, we set out to do this, we set out to do, no. We don't need those information. There is a section for those type of information. And I will come back to this in the discussion again. I will bring that up. When people state their aims or the objectives, and then they begin to state it again in the discussion, you are making the science, repetition is good in science to an extent, but these sections are dedicated for a specific task. All right, so don't go to the introduction to the results and begin to report the background information that's supposed to be in the
introduction.
Okay. All right. I have Yolande and Ijeoma.
Should I go on after her?
Ijeoma, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, please. I want to find out. I read, I think one of the things you gave us that references are not supposed to be in results.
Yep.
It's in all circumstances or scenario?
Perhaps not. In
Okay,
us,
please
there
let me
may be some
specifically read
exceptions.
out something. Let me specifically, because I'm actually writing something now. And then it appeared that I had about 1 or 2 citations in my results section. But then permit me to just read a sentence out of it to see whether it is out of place. You know, this is, can I go on?
Go ahead.
All right, it says, further exploration of this strain, of the strain isolated in this study and similar genotype reported in Gambia and Kenya. So when I wrote that reported, I felt the need to put the citation for that report because I was trying to present the result of the comparison between what we saw.
Nope. Okay. The results section is meant to present only your results, not whatever has been found elsewhere. That is not a place for that. You don't make comparison in the results section to any place outside your study. Okay, so from what you have read there now, that is not the place for it to be. It should be in the discussion. We'll come to the discussion, but what you're saying now should be in the discussion, not in the results.
Okay, it's still very confusing to me because what led to this particular one was when from the method we are supposed to draw a tree, a phylogenetic tree that is supposed to show you relationships. And then when we drew that tree, we saw a relationship between what we have here and what we have in East Africa that needed further methodology to explore what was going on in terms of epidemiologically. So that was what led to this further analysis.
What happened in East Africa? Was it your study?
No.
Yeah, it's not a place. That is not a place for that. You just clear. All right. So what you present in your results section is what you have found. Restrict yourself to what you have found. I know there is temptation to go just resist that temptation and say, no, I won't fall for you. And then you move gradually to the discussion. And then in discussion, you can say that we found this. Okay. And then you describe what you have found. And you can use language like this is similar to what was found in East Africa. And then you can discuss that similarity. What has caused the similarity? Or if there's this similarity, you can discuss that. That is something you have in the discussion, not in the results.
Okay, thank you.
So there should be no citation, no references in the results. Okay. Yeah, I see some. I see some questions coming up here. I will look. I think perhaps by the time we go through what we have here, you'll be able. I think some of the questions will be answered. I have Miriam. Miriam, please, your hand is up.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much. I think from what this speaker just said, I do find myself in such a situation sometimes. But in cases where there are some journals that will allow results in the result section, it could be results and discussion. So when I find myself in such situation, I combine my results and discussion. I don't know if that is allowed, but I've been doing that anyway. That the journals, like after methodology, your results, so you can now put it as results and discussion. So once I take one of my results, then I discuss, I compare it to another person's work and I put my reference. Then I continue like that.
That one is
rather than splitting results separately, discussion separately.
That one is a very tough pill to swallow. Okay, it's possible there are some cultures that are there, but I would say for clarity, for simplicity, keep the results to the results. And then discussion. The way this has been outlined, this has been for ages. If you read old scientific papers in the 18th centuries, in the 19th centuries, you will see that some of the things you're describing here now were happening. Actually, they were happening until scientists come to the conclusion that actually we need to make things clearer because it can be confusing, and a system has been adopted. Perhaps your journal recommends that, but I will not recommend that. I will say use a section to describe what you have found, and then let's find a section where we'll discuss what you have found and make meaning of what you have found. Perhaps I wouldn't say more than this. Okay, maybe there is a way that your journals do that, but in this course, I will emphasize what I'm emphasizing because it makes life easier. All right, I have Jerita.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you clearly.
Yes, so I'm wondering a case where you have your results with varying decimal places. For example, confidence interval, if the lower interval maybe is 3.7 e power 01, then the upper is 2, maybe 0.4 e plus 19. I'm just wondering, then you're told present the results, maybe the table scientifically. This is where now I wanted some clarification.
What kind of values are those? For what measurement, Jerita?
Maybe these are 95% confidence intervals.
Yeah, but when you say 3.7 e minus how many?
E power 01, then the other one e plus 19.
Goodness,
for example.
Me.
For example.
That is too much. What measurement is that?
What measurement?
Yeah, I mean, what kind of measurement? Because it's too much zeros, isn't it?
Yeah. So how would you say less than, maybe less than 0.00?
If it's confidence interval, that one is really difficult. That kind of measurement is I don't know in reality where that kind of measurement will come from. But otherwise, I think you can use this E plus. You can use this E plus 19. You mentioned. I mean E power 19. E power 01. You can use that, and then you can use a footnote to explain, because some people may not be know what the E is, you know. So you can use a footnote, but in the tables, if you write that number, it occupies lots of space, and it doesn't look so good. So this is also where your artistic acumen comes in. How do I show this data that is not distracting?
Yes.
So if you use these symbols of E power in the table so that you can save space, then you have a footnote to say the meaning of this number is actually this, so that people can. Otherwise, I think that is a very long number.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have still many hands now. Let me see. I have shoot. Let me take shoot and we'll continue.
Thank you very much, Prof. Good morning, everyone. It's just trying to talk a little about the person who is talking about writing results and discussion. I just wanted to say a comment that if you follow your materials and method and you said, I isolated bacteria, the result will be that the bacteria was yellow in color. That is a result. And that's the only thing that you are concerned with in your results section. Then the next thing, if you go to the discussion, you now say, Mr. AAA also isolated and they also looked yellow. That is how you write a discussion. But if you have to write even if you have to write a result alongside a discussion, your first sentence must say your result. So you must say, this is what you got. I think that's what Prof is trying to explain to us clearly, that a result does not contain a discussion. You only report that methodology you used. What did you find? I found this. Then when you get something, and the results are usually not very long because it's basically what you found. Is when you now get to the discussion. That's where you can add all the Kenya and all the every other thing inside it.
Yep.
I don't know if that helps the person, but it's exactly what you found that you just write there. I isolated bacteria. That's what your methodology said. Then you now say bacteria, the bacterium, of course, that you isolated was yellow in color. That is the result. Or there were 10 of them. So you said I sampled, and then some were bacteria, some were not bacteria, but you sampled out of the 20. This was this. That's all.
All right. Thank you, Wushut, where are you joining us from? Sorry.
Nigeria. I work in the University of Jos.
University of Jos. Yeah, because your name confused. I when I listen to you, I hear a Nigerian voice, but when I see your name, is that a Nigerian name?
It doesn't look Nigerian. It's very Nigerian. It's a Plateau name.
Wow.
I come from Plateau State.
All right. Okay. Yes. That's good. That's good to know. Nigeria is heaven on earth. There's so much places, much things that you will not even know until you live in this world.
Until you have visited them. Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right. Authors err most often by offering the reader data but not results. Is something on the screen familiar to anyone? Maybe you have done it before. Example there.
Yes.
Has somebody done that? The respective mean pre and post operative BMI for the subset of overweight was, somebody's annotating for me. Who is that? Tom Young. Tom, I didn't ask you to explain those results or mark them for me. All right, so it says the respective mean pre and post operative BMI for the subset of overweight was, versus the subset of mildly obese patient was. Can you see what is happening there? This is data. This is data. Somebody was asking, say, presenting data, what do you mean? This is data. You are giving people the numbers, but that is not actually what the result is. Your result is to interpret what those numbers, you have taken these numbers either from a table or you didn't put them in a table, but you outline them here. And in your mind, I have given them. When the reader comes here, you know what the reader will read? Do you know what the reader will read? Usually, the reader will not read all these things from here to here because it is irritating. This is irritating. You need patience. I have patience, okay? But I don't have this kind of patience. This is a higher one that you need. I don't know, maybe somebody in this course has this kind of patience to read this kind of this. But rarely will you get, those are genius, patient genius, who will pay attention and take their time to look at it. You can't see the screen? Somebody's not seeing the screen?
We can see, Prof.
All right. All right. So it's irritating. This is not a good example. And this one too. You see, this is what this has done now. And they are giving this graph. It says 6 months after diagnosis and initiation of treatment, the survival rates were 95% for the Neuroxomab group, 91 for blasteride group and 39% for the radiation treated group. Just give me a minute. Let me pick my daughter up from the door. All right, so sorry about that. My daughter is not feeling well, so it just came back from school. Now, all right, and then you continue. You put figure 1 here. At 12 months, the rates were this. At 18 months, this. And at 24 months, this. All right. So this is a problem. Here you are also presenting data, but not results. What do the data show? What is the point you're making here? Are there differences we can observe? All right. Now, if you go to the right side, the only thing that has been added here is exceeded those of both this and that. That is the only thing you have added here, but it's quite minimal. How much higher were the survival rates for these groups than the other group? We want to know that. Remember, you are talking to somebody who did not go to the field with you. And you want to explain things for them to understand. So this is also data. This data, much more data, less than this, but it's not sufficient enough. All right, now we have expanded it. We have presented this. We said 6 months after diagnosis and initiation of treatment, the survival rate for this and that groups were this and that times higher, respectively, than the radiation group. You see, there are 3 groups here. So we have given interpretation to what we have here and not just copying the numbers and putting them here. And then we have given for both, we have the p-value. But survival rate did not differ between these and these groups. Okay. By 12 months, however, patient survival in this group was 1.2 times higher than in this group and 4.3 and 6.4 times higher at 18 and 24 months. The magnitude of the most important differences are shown when the differences occurred, whether they were statistically significant. Okay, now we also can extend this by explaining the data and providing important data for the figure. All right, so we have the actual survival rate and the confidence intervals included for the estimate and the magnitude of the differences. All right, so the point here is there is a difference between data. You copy what is on your table or your figure and you just list them for people. You think people will understand that, but no. What is expected for you in the results section is to provide explanation or interpretation of that so that the reader will know where the question you have asked before have been answered and the results for that. All right. The explanation I'm talking about here is not discussion of the results. It's giving an interpretation to what you have found. All right. So where there is an expected difference or unexpected difference, the magnitude of the difference, the statistical significance of the difference, you need to highlight those. And when you're doing so, the goal is not to repeat what is in the table or in the figure, because those are dedicated for a purpose. So you don't repeat the things that are put in other areas as such. You don't repeat them as such. They are there for a purpose, and your research section is there to make meaning or interpret what those figures and tables have shown. All right, let's take group 5 nuggets. I hope group 5 is ready now. Group 5, are you ready? Who is presenting for group 5?
Yeah, I'm presenting for group 5.
Please go ahead.
Oh. Sorry, okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you see my screen, please?
Clearly.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Miriam. I'll be presenting on behalf of Group 5, and our nugget is on anatomy and physiology of scientific paper. Okay, and which is a review article by Sultan. The objective of this nugget is to describe the steps to facilitate writing different sections of a scientific paper for an academic journal. Writing and publishing a scientific paper in academic journals is highly competitive and time-consuming. The road to scientific writing and publication is rarely straightforward, and scientific writing has uniform formats, which is perplexing for the novice, with novice science writers due to its inflexible anatomy and the physiology. The anatomy being the structure of the writing, and the physiology being the function of the writing. Many obstacles are aligned with the scientific writing, and scientific writing also requires some skills which needs to be adopted through learning. The basic anatomy of scientific writing is mainly comprised of structures and the physiology and the anatomy. There should be some prerequisites to scientific writing, which includes well-designed study. Before one can start a scientific writing, the study must be conceptualized, and it should be well-designed, followed by a good literature review, a thorough literature review, and one should know very well the data and findings from the study, and also the type of journal, the journal scope which one would like to publish the paper. Then we go to the reasons why researchers publish. People publish to advance in career. People also publish for personal satisfaction. They publish to share ideas and findings. People also publish to boost their research profile and also to benefit the populace. That leads us to the Sultan pyramid, which shows the reason why researchers publish: for study requirements, for utmost needs, for promotion, grants, salary, and the likes. For long-term sustainability in academic career, for top ranking to get to your rank, dean, rector, and the likes, and for advancement in politics. And now looking at the anatomy of scientific paper, which is the basic component of the scientific paper, starting with the scientific paper to the references. So I will take this one after the other now. The title, the abstract, introduction, method, title, abstract, introduction, method, result, discussion, conclusion, and acknowledgement. These are the components of the anatomy of scientific paper. To start with the title we should try, a writer should try and keep the title short and unambiguous, should have good taste to fascinate the readers, easy to understand, contain keywords describing the work, and it should describe the entire content of the paper. The title should be adequate to give adequate description of the entire work, and a writer must avoid abbreviation, and there should not be present a bias. It should not present a biased picture. The abstract should not be too long. It should not be too short. Mostly you keep to the author's guide, wherever the journal you want to publish. Then it should contain important information. It must summarize the major aspects of the work, and a writer must briefly state the purpose, method, result, and conclusion. In the introduction aspect, a writer must start by identifying the subject area of interest, develop the settings with brief, balanced, and relevant literature. A writer must summarize the existing understanding of the problem, discuss the study in the form of hypothesis, question, or problems, must briefly explain the rationale and gaps in the literature. Top of the introduction represents general information. Then the bottom of the introduction, you must focus on the specific problems, purpose, and rationale. Then the writer must cite from good research journals with original work rather than depend on reference books. Now to the methods, or to the methodology aspects. Well, a writer must discuss the study design, settings, and how the study was carried out. Biological features of control, exposed, or treatment groups and variables measured. The age, height, weight, gender, ethnicity, educational and socioeconomic status, the study protocol, the sample size and grouping, pre-experiments, experimental handling, and the methodology must also include your statistical analysis and the software to be used. It must be robust to make the reader understand the methodology you have used, and it should be reproducible. My laptop has, sorry. Okay, yeah. Then now to the results. The results, a writer must provide the key findings in the logical progression, report both positive and negative results, organize results around the table and figures, and it should provide the nature of differences, the magnitude of the findings, provide enough interpretation, provide appropriate measurement units, and use the word significant and non-significant accordingly, and lengthy analysis and duplication of information must be avoided. Then the discussion, you must start a discussion about your major findings, provide answers to testable hypotheses relevant to existing knowledge, discuss results with the findings of other researchers, like you compare your results to previous studies. Then a writer must reference the findings of others in order to support the interpretations. You must discuss contradictory findings with an alternative explanation. Never discuss prior work without reference. Referencing is very important in this section. You must point out where further gaps in knowledge could usefully be filled, and you must discuss the strengths and limitations. Then the conclusion, you must state conclusions clearly and concisely. start with a clear statement of principal findings, summarize the findings and generalize their importance, prove that findings are worthy, develop accuracy and originality in the conclusion, discuss ambiguous data, and recommend further research. Conclude that testing supports or disproves the hypothesis. Provide a pleasant ending with the reader's utmost satisfaction. And the acknowledgements. All entities involved must be acknowledged, which should include, you must include those that provide help in designing the work, provided equipment, materials, funding, assistance, typing of the manuscript, those that read the manuscript, and those that provided fund and support, and the institution where the research was carried out. As a wrap-up on the anatomy and physiology of scientific writing, we would like to say that to understand the anatomy and physiology of a scientific paper, beginners must understand the basic characteristics, design, and functions of writing the various sections. They must have a mentor and work on writing as a team for self-efficacy. As scientific writing requires skills, and it's a skill, and why is it? It's an art and a science. It can be improved by attending short intensive courses, which should be taken or delivered by faculty or well-experienced people and science writers and editors. With this, I would like to say thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, group number 5, for your presentation. Okay, one request I want to make today, is it possible for us to move our lunch 1 hour ahead? Is there anyone who?
Please, have I stopped sharing? I'm trying to share. Stop.
Is it fine?
Yes.
Okay.
It's okay. I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah, I have a meeting. I need to be present later on, but I will let you know at that time. So if we move the lunch 1 hour ahead, what will happen is that we'll take our lunch at 12 noon GMT. And then when you return, before we go for the lunch, I will send you to your breakout sessions, all right? So that once you return from your lunch, you can join your breakout sessions, or you can join your breakout sessions, and then when you return from your lunch, you continue from there. And I will give you what you will be doing after the lunch, and then I will meet you after that. Okay. So, but I will come back to this as we go. So let's have our lunch 1 hour later.
Thank you.
And then we can finish up later on. Let's see. Yeah, this can be. We have some, is that music or drum, or what is that going on in the background? Somebody is playing something nice, not so nice in the ears. Okay, I have Ayodeji. Ayodeji, your hand is up.
All right, thank you, Prof. Just to clarify, I've had the use of the word interpretation of results like twice today, as in maybe that should be done at the results session. I would think that the ideal place to interpret the result should be the discussion session. I want your take on this. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so it should be interpretation of the data. So that should be corrected. Interpretation of the data, and the result is interpretation of the data.
All right, sir.
All right.
Okay.
And discussion, discussion of your results is now the interpretation, making meaning of the results you have reported.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we'll continue. The results section. You see, we are still spending time with it because it's so important. Because if you don't tell this story well, then you have failed in what you set out to do. So there are three primary functions of the results section: to state the results of the experiment or the studies, and only reports results pertinent to the question raised in the introduction, and then directs the reader to figures or tables that present supporting data. So you can see that. So it states the result of the experiment, and then it addresses the question that was raised in the introduction. And then you direct the reader. Okay, that is why you have figures. That's why I have tables. And the results section, when you're using your text now, you direct the reader. This is where what I'm talking about is found. It's found in figure 1. It's found in table 1. It's found in graphic this and graphic that. All right. How do you organize the results? Often chronologically or topically. All right. Sometimes most important to least important. One topic per paragraph. One topic per paragraph. You see, you have stated your objectives in the introduction. The results section has to respond to that. So you present what you have found. You can make it chronologically or you can make it topically. For instance, I use the example of the impact of flood on stunting. And I expanded that to say, perhaps you may include infant mortality, you may include low birth weight, you may include other things. And so to make life easier for the reader, to make it clearer, you see, those objectives, you can state them separately or you can state them as one objective. But when you're making the presentation, to make life easier, you may want to present to say, impact of flooding on stunting. Then you have one paragraph on that. Impact of flooding on infant mortality. Impact of flooding on low birth weight. And when you organize it in that way, it helps the reader to figure out, to find information, to explain, to interpret your data clearly. All right, so that is one thing you can do. Sometimes it is possible you may have some very important findings and least important findings, and you may want to start with the important ones. Okay, you start with important ones and then you move to less important ones. Typical organization of results. First of all, you have the descriptive results in which you explain or present about the characteristics of the study population. Taking the same example, we have looked at flooding and stunting. The first thing you have to tell the readers is, who are these people? Okay, who are they? What is their age range? How many of them are boys? How many of them are girls? It is possible where you have recruited them, you have urban residents, and there you have rural residents. It's possible you may have them having parents who are in different socioeconomic status, and perhaps it's possible that they are living in a typological different situations. So you have descriptive in which you present the characteristics of the study population, the subject in your study. All right. And once you have finished with the descriptives, you go to the main findings. This is where you have things like the main finding, where you have things like the impact of flooding on stunting, impact of flooding on birth weight, impact of flooding on mortality. This is the main finding because this is your main objectives you have stated. So you present that, use your tables and figures to refer to them, and then describe any differences between study groups. And perhaps you have made some sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity analysis may be things like, okay, we have found that there's a difference between those children who were born in a flooding environment compared to those who were not born in a flooding environment with regards to stunting. You have found that difference. I may make sensitive analysis, but now, does this difference we have found differ between different socioeconomic groups in the population? Does this difference differ between boys and girls? And so you can present those results as well under main finding, but other important findings. The goal here is to ensure there is a reasonable understanding of the flow of the story you're trying to tell. You can make chronological, or from most to least. All right. And here is that you have the way you have presented your method. Method 1, you will do this. Method 2, you will do this. Method 3, you will do that. When you come to the results, you also follow the same pattern. In the method 1, I said I will do this. Then in the results section, this is what I found with regards to method 1. In method 2, I plan to do this. And this is what I found with regards to method 2, and so on and so forth. Or it's possible that you have found some results that are more eye-catching than others, meaning that they are more important. And so you can present your results in that direction of arranging them from the most important to the least important results. All right. Life has been made easier for us, particularly those in the biomedical sciences. I'm not fully sure of what is happening in other fields, but I am aware that there are developments going all around. And the goal of this development in terms of helping us to report the findings from scientific exercise is as a result of bringing uniformity and ensuring that people are not just doing things haphazardly. People are not doing things haphazardly. You understand? So in that, there are what they call reporting guidelines. And I told you that if you look at what has happened in the scientific literature in the 18th century, in the 19th century, you discover that people did their own reporting in different ways. And sometimes it can be so convoluted and challenging to capture. And that has been there for a long time. Even to today, it's not everything that is streamlined. It's not everything that is working as it should. So group of scientists have come together and they have talked about this. What do we do? And in the biomedical sciences, we have what is called the equator network, enhancing the quality and transparency of health research. That is what the equator means. And what they do here is to develop different guidelines that will make scientists in this area to report their findings. Even though this is not in your field, you can take a look at them. They are quite helpful. They are quite helpful, and you can transfer the information from here to your own field. All right. And so if you go through these guidelines at this equator network, you will see that they help to facilitate better reporting of scientific writing. Yeah, we'll call on group 6 to tell us about their nuggets. Group number 6. Who is presenting for group number 6?
Please, I'm the one presenting. I'm trying to share my slides.
Great. Some people are enjoying actually this course to the extent that they can even lie down and listen to me. Wow. Oh, enjoying it. I wish I was in your position.
Yes.
Please, can you?
It's not showing yet, Grace. You said you have started sharing, but it's not coming. I think your network
I see my slides.
We are not seeing it yet. It says it's still showing. Your network is maybe a little bit. Oh yeah, now it has appeared. Now it's here. So you can, yeah, go to the.
Yeah, we can see. Go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Grace, and I'm presenting for Group 6. Our nugget is titled 6 Things to Do Before Writing Your Manuscript. So the background of the article was written by Dr. Angel Boja, and this was given as a result of his experience as an editor, a reviewer, and then an author. And the article goes on to give a little overview of his research and publication, and then his mentorship and editorial life also. The first thing that was given was that we have to think about what we want, to publish, why we want to publish our work, and whether our work is indeed publishable. So in thinking about this, you first need to do this thinking even before the beginning of your manuscript. And he gave questions that you need to ask yourself before you start writing your manuscript and even thinking of publishing. And some of the questions are that, have you done something new or interesting? And then, is there any challenging thing that you have done in your work? And also, if your work is related directly to a current topic, as in your work is part of the trending topics that your field is researching on. And also, if you have provided solutions to some difficult problem in your field. So these are some of the questions that you have to ask yourself even before you start your manuscript and before you think of publishing it or not. And in asking this one, you have to think like a reviewer and also an editor. So after asking yourself all these questions and the answer to every one of these questions is yes, then you can start preparing for your manuscript. However, if it is a no, Then you need to submit to a local journal or one with a low impact factor. So you have to also keep in mind that researchers also use questionnaires to guide them in being able to, the reviewers use questionnaires to guide them to be able to review your work and respond to your manuscript. And some of these questions are, does your paper contain sufficient new material? And then, is the topic within the scope of the journal you are sending it to? Is it presented concisely and well organized? And can the method and the experiments you did be replicated? Is your language acceptable to the journal you are submitting to? Are your conclusions supported by the data presented? Are all references cited? These and many other questions that the reviewers use to guide them in being able to review and edit your work and give you response. The second one, the second one is to declare the type of manuscripts you want to write. So you have to know what type of manuscript you are writing. So the article gave 3 types of articles. The first one is the original or full article. The original or full article is the most important article. And it says a substantial completed piece of your research with some significance. There's also the second type, which is the letter or short communication or rapid communication. And these ones are published for quick and early communications. It is much shorter than the full article. And the third type of the manuscript is the review article or the perspective. And this one, it summarizes a recent development on a specific hot topic. And it highlights important points that have previously been reported. So you need to be able to know where your manuscripts belong and choose it wisely. The third one is to choose the target journal. So there are lots of journals available, some in your field, some outside your field. So depending on what research you have done, you should be able to choose the target journal or know the scope of the journal. And also, if you are submitting to a journal that is related to your field. However, you need to avoid multiple submission. So you don't gamble by scattering your manuscript to many journals at a time, but you only submit to one and wait for the response. So you read around to find out what type of articles are being accepted in that journal. And then you wait until they give you the response and it is a no, you submit to another different journal. Also, you have to also consider high rejection rates of the journal. And it was stated that fields like Nature, Science, the Lancet, Cells, etc. have about more than 90% rejection. So you need to be abreast of this information. And if the research is not very challenging, you have to focus on more humble journal with lower impact factor. That is if your research is not too challenging. And you can get the impact factors of these journals on their websites, or you can get it at Science Gateway. The fourth one is to you should pay attention to the journal requirements in the guide for authors. So every journal has guide for authors. So you just don't submit your work to any journal without knowing their guide for authors, because they might be different from the journal you previously submitted your work to. So you need to be able to know the journal, download their guide for authors, print it out and read over and over again, so that you'll be more informed on what guidelines they want or what criteria they want. You don't have to do trial and error. The fifth one is to pay attention to the structure of your paper. So more and more journals have new type of structures for their articles. So it is crucial to consult the guide for authors, meaning this is very important. You need to know the guide for authors. So you have to be able to know it so that you adhere to the journal's preferred structure. However, the most general structure that a lot of journals use is the AMRAD structure. AMRAD structure, which takes the structure of introduction, method, results, and then discussion. The last tip that was given was that you have to understand the ethics of the journal, or generally ethics in scientific writing, so that you can avoid violation. And one of the ethics is plagiarism. You have to avoid plagiarism. And also the violation includes data fabrication and falsification, and then improper use of human subjects or animal in research work. So you have to be abreast with all these ethics, and you relate with it accordingly. And there are also some resources that are online you can use to be able to help you. And one of that is the COPE, which is Committee of Publication Ethics. They have resources that will help you to avoid violation. In closing, he stated that you have to value your work as a researcher. You don't have to just write your manuscripts without reading through and checking all the grammatical errors and spelling mistakes, and then just submitting it to the reviewer. You have to do your due diligence, do all the work, value your work, and make sure it's a high quality work before you submit to the journal for publication. And it is important to put in dedication and hard work, because these two yield success. And lastly, you need to keep it short and simple, and always have the reviewer and the editor in mind, so that you don't waste their time and end up wasting your time too. So these are the nuggets for group 6, and thank you for listening.
All right, thanks to you, Grace, and group number 6 for that presentation. All right, if you stop sharing, then I will share my screen. Okay, so you can see the recommendations. These recommendations are coming on the premise that things usually don't go the way expected. All right, so please follow these instructions. People are giving the experiences of what it has been, and they can be helpful. Then please, if you don't have your group number on your to your name, please, I beg you, make it, take your time. And it's not, it doesn't take 30 seconds. And you have done that. 30 seconds is 15 seconds. It doesn't take up to that. And then you will be able to get that, so that once we are sending you to your groups, it's easier for us. All right, tables, figures, and charts. This is a common saying. I don't know if there's any culture here that doesn't believe in this. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Yesterday, I got a notification on Twitter. And this notification, it was a video that was sent. Is there any culture that doesn't believe in this, what we have on the screen? I think it's a global saying. And this video, the person put it and tagged it to the preparation for election in my country, Nigeria. preparation for election. And the person put it there and said, this is the state of the youth. All right, the youth of the country. And this video, it was the hen with the chicks. All right, and then the cock was close by there, and they were standing there. Maybe some of you have seen that video. A hawk came, you know, the hawk that picks the chicks. A hawk came and flew and wanted to take one of the chicks. All right, and this hen fiercely attacked this hawk. And then the cock that was there joined the hen, and they attacked this hawk and brought the hawk down. And this hen, goodness me, I never knew that these animals can be that angry. This hen poked on this hawk, brought it down, never allowed it. And this was seconds. And this hen killed the hawk down there. And the person said, regarding the election, this is the state of the Nigerian youth. Well, I won't explain more than that, but I hope you understand what I've just said. Okay? I hope it's not confusing to anybody. You understand the message there.
Yes, sir.
Okay? So it's a take-home message. And that take-home message there is, a picture is worth 1,000 words. The person who put that video didn't say anything, didn't write more than that. But I understood that in my country, they have that every day is for the thief, but one day is for the owner. Somebody's asking me what is the implication. I can't tell you the implication. I can't tell you the implication. In African culture, when you give a proverb, you should not interpret it. Do we have children in this class? All right. So what it means is, he that has an ear, let him hear. All right. So the point is that certain things you do not need to write the text. And that is what comes also in science. Remember, the first day we were asking the question, is it a science or is it an art? And that is also where your artistic acumen comes in. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So we can use graphics, we can use tables, we can use charts, we can use figures to supplement the information that we are presenting, with the objective of making it easier for our message to be understood. The goal here is to make your message to be easily understood. The goal is not to use pictures. That is not the ultimate goal. The goal is to make the message easily understood. Why I'm making this difference is that many people go and they, I like this picture, and they put it there. I like that one, I put it. And by the time they pack all the things there, oh goodness me, it's like you wouldn't have even told that story. I don't know if somebody has told you a story, the person finished telling the story and looks at your face and is asking you what happened, because your face looks sour. I said nothing, but yeah, and the person is asking you didn't like the story. The person not even understand what you have said. But in your own face, who is telling it, you are smiling, you are so excited, you are even laughing more than the person who is listening. All right. The goal here is to make it easier for your readers to understand. The goal is not to use pictures. Pictures are not the end. the pictures, the graphics, the figures are towards the end. What is the end is understanding and effective communication. I hope I'm making a point here. And I hope somebody is here who has been so much interested in pictures. Is there somebody who likes pictures?
Sir?
I'm not asking one person. Is there somebody who likes pictures?
I do. Prof, I like pictures, and
do.
but I apply them. I try to apply them when they are necessary. But
When
I
they are
really
necessary.
do like pictures.
You like
Yes.
pictures.
Yes,
So
I do.
It's required to do so.
Okay, great.
I like
That's,
pictures.
that's very good. All right, Miriam, you have a quick. Okay, good. It's good that you have brought down your hand because we want to move on. Okay, so pictures, graphics, figures are important. They are great tools to present sizable amount of complex data. As I showed here now, if you look at this picture, somebody can write a whole page. Some can write half a page. Some can write 2 pages about what is happening here on the left side. All right, that is why they said they are worth more than or worth 1,000 words. They can help you save space. Yeah. They can help you save space. They are powerful tools. Powerful. But you require to plan to use them properly. Think about them and make sure they are appropriate and suit the occasion. Some people don't use them well. Now, some principles. Check what your journal requires. Only include graphics if they importantly improve the reader's understanding. And that is what I was stressing. The understanding is the goal. The picture is not the goal. The picture is just a means to get to the goal. Choose which of them to use or combine them. Do you use tables alone? Do you use figures or do you combine them? Choose appropriately. Do not use to replace reporting key numbers in the text of a paper. All right. The results section is still quite important. So what these figures and the tables are doing is just to supplement what you have in your text. Ensure that display items are self-explanatory. I was when Jerita asked that question of e raised to power 19 and all those. If you put that and you think that, oh, everybody understands that, people will not understand that. So you can use a footnote to explain. Refer to the tables and figures, but don't repeat them. All right? You use your text to draw the reader's attention to what is in the tables, but don't repeat the details that are in the tables in the text. Some people make that mistake. Ensure consistency between values or details in the tables and the text. Give clear informative titles. You should give an immediate visual impression from your figures. Make it beautiful. Women can help us here. I hope. Anyway, scientific artistic prowess is not the same as our inborn ability to display our artistic flavors in our outlook. They're not the same. That is why so many women, they appear so gorgeous, but artistically, you need to pray hard for them. But make them beautiful. As we desire beauty and we aim for it, let's make the labels and legend clear and complete. All right, how to choose between tables and figures. Use tables to show many and precise numerical values and other specific data in small space. Use figures to show trends, patterns, and relationships across and between data sets when the general pattern is more important than exact values. Use text when you don't have extensive or complicated data to present. Use table to compare and contrast data values or characteristics among related items or items with several shared characteristics or variables. Use figures to summarize research results. What to use, graphs, data plots, maps, and pie chart. You can use any of these. Use text when putting your data into a table would mean creating a table with 2 or fewer columns. Use figures to show the presence or absence of specific characteristics. Use tables. Use figures to present a visual explanation of sequence of events, procedures, geographic features, or physical characteristics. Use text when the data that you are planning to present is peripheral to the study or irrelevant to the main study findings. I think you can study this more and more. Now, you see this table. This one of the things, close to one of the things Jerita was asking. You see the table here, the table here. These are bad tables. This is a better one. Take it from here. So this has been simplified. It's better. It's not perfect. It's better. All right. Bad figure. In the world of 3D, 3D, people use them, but sometimes they use them and bring sour mouths. This is simple and better than this. All right. That is true. No matter the things you put here, and I know some of you like this one, so even in this course, some like, or is there anyone here who doesn't like this at all? Without attending this course, you don't like seeing this type? Nope, I didn't see anybody.
I don't like it.
Oh, you don't like it?
No,
I don't like it.
I like seeing
I
it.
don't like it.
You like seeing it, you don't like using it.
Yes, me too.
I like using it too.
You see?
I don't like it.
Simplicity is nice, but it's not nice for your communication of your scientific finding. Okay, this is simple. We want simple things.
Wow.
One simple things. This is, you see this title? Supplementary figure 5, graphs of depth of coverage for the mitochondrial sequences. This represent this. This is a mouthful. It's difficult. All right, it's difficult. Don't go for this. All right. Now, how does the reader find the result in a paragraph that contains other information? That is the key message here. When you make it complicated for the reader, it is tough. When you make it complicated for the reader, it is tough. So make it easier. Remove the unnecessary things, the distractions, so that you can point the reader to what you want to communicate. And when you do that, you draw them closer. You draw them closer. All right. Let's go to group number 7. Group number 7. Today we have lots of nuggets. I will keep bombarding you with that. All right, Neka, go ahead. Neka, are you presenting for group number 7? We are waiting for you. Neka, is it you?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I want to share my screen. Right. Can you see my screen?
We see it.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah.
My name is Neka, and I'm here to present Group 7 Nuggets. On 8 readings, I accepted your article. This is an excerpt from, It's an excerpt from Elizabeth Swart's blog post on Elsevier Connect. And the 8 reasons, hello? Can you hear me?
We hear you, Neka. Go ahead.
The 8 reasons are summed up by Dr. Thorsten Piper. Introduction. Oftentimes, the focus of researcher is on why a manuscript was rejected. It is also invaluable to understand why manuscripts are accepted, as it helps in preparing an acceptable paper. As a follow-up to a popular article, 8 reasons I accepted your article, the writer sought the opinion of 5 Elsevier editors on the top 8 reasons why they accept articles. One of the reasons, one is it provides insight into an important issue. That is to say, by shedding light on an unsolved problem that affects a lot of people. That is, your article was able to shed light on an unsolved problem that affects a lot of people, a large number of people. Another reason is that the insight is useful to people who make decisions, the decision makers, whether in your field or in the family decision making or a long-term organizational decision. So your insight is useful to people who actually make decisions. Another insight, the third one, is that the insight is used to develop a framework or theory. Here we mean that your finding or your paper is either a new theory or is trying to advance an existing one. The fourth one is that the insight stimulates new important questions. It stimulates new important questions. There are other questions to answer from your work. Another reason why they accept the fifth one is that the methods used to explore the issue are appropriate. The methods that you use in your research, they are actually appropriate. Another reason is that the methods used are applied rigorously and explain why and how the data supports the conclusion. The seventh reason is that connections to prior work in the field or from other fields are made. And what do we mean? From your literature review, there is connection, maybe from previous work, people that have done such a similar work, or from other work. So there should be a connection to prior work in your field or from other fields. And the eighth one, which is the last, is that the article tells a good story. We mean here, what we mean is that it is well written and easy to understand. The arguments are logical and not internally contradictory. So that's the last one. And in conclusion, all scientific writers should have the nugget in mind while preparing their manuscript. That is, you should have the reasons why they accept it, not just the reasons why it's being rejected. You should actually have reasons why they are accepted in mind, which will actually help you in preparing your manuscript. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Fantastic as well. Okay. So we continue. Yes, Don't be tired of the nuggets. So we have 7 now and 5 more to go. Isn't it? 5 more to go. Yeah, 5 more to go. So don't be tired.
Yes.
We'll keep pushing it. We keep pushing it until you learn at least one thing from them. All right. But anyway, they are fantastic piece of work to help you to expand your horizon. All right. I have 2 hands. I have Daniel. Neka, you have your hand up as well? Or?
No.
All right.
Sorry.
So, yes, please. Daniel,
Hello?
please.
Okay. Yes. The last presenter just reminded me of one confusion we've been having for quite some time. The issue of what is actually theoretical framework. There's other framework. I've forgotten what they call it again. I find it difficult.
Conceptual
framework and theoretical framework. Yes, these two. What do they really mean? No.
Yeah, I mean this varies from place to place. And what it tells is that you are making an investigation. All right, you're making an investigation, and we want you to be able to situate what you're doing within the larger development of knowledge in your area. All right. Now, what happens is this. The example I've used, flooding and impact on stunting. Okay. That question itself, is it tenable? How do we be able to think that flooding can affect stunting? Is it tenable? And so the theoretical framework is for you now to find a basis through which you can say that this works. It's possible. And so that is why you now go to the literature and find how can you connect flooding to stunting? What theoretical basis can explain this kind of effect? All right. And in medicine, if you're a medical person, you're a health person, you can go to your medicine. If you are a sociologist, you can go to sociology and find some bases that have been developed. All right. In medicine, there is one theoretical basis called fetal programming. Fetal programming. I don't know if those in medicine are aware of that, in which it says that an exposure that a mother encounters perhaps during pregnancy or before pregnancy can affect the development of the fetus in a way that can lead to adverse effect when the fetus is delivered, when the baby is delivered. And so if you're looking at this kind of situation where you're thinking about flooding, how flooding can affect the stunting of the baby, you can borrow such kind of theoretical basis to illustrate how adverse effect can affect the baby later in life. So theoretical framework or conceptual framework, however they call it, it is you using underpinning theoretical basis to support that question you are trying to address. I hope that helps.
Thank you very, very much, sir. Thank you very much. I've never had this explanation before like this. So conceptual and theoretical framework, they're just the same thing. That's just...
Yeah, that's to an extent. I wouldn't say they are exactly the same thing. Okay, because conceptual can relate also to your methodological approach. Okay, And the theoretical can also relate to your methodological. It depends. It depends on the field anyway, but they are very close to each other.
Thank you, sir.
All right, the discussion now. And discussion is defined as a place where you make meaning of the results or your findings, where you make meaning of the results or the findings. All right. So there are 4 sections. Summary of the key results. Summary of the key results. Contextualization of the results. And discussion of strengths and limitation of your study, and then conclusions. So in the discussion, you want to provide context for understanding the results you have found, and then allow the readers to see possibilities of how the results operate. Okay? And then you go further to give some caveats so that in interpreting your findings, they will know aspect they need to watch out for. Because sometimes we end up over-interpreting our results because we want to perhaps boast about them. We want people to see that perhaps we have found something important. But every study has its own limitations, and you need to acknowledge those limitations with regards to the impact they will have, their meaning. And so the reader needs to understand the various aspects that your finding connotes. So in the summary of the key findings, you use 1 paragraph around that, and then you contextualize your results in which you compare to the extant literature, what others have found, how the results relate to perhaps mechanisms or theories of operation, and then what future research is needed, what you have not covered, or other questions that might have come out from what you have done. All right. Then you discuss the strengths and limitations of the study, and you conclude. And the conclusion will capture the summary of the message and what should we do next from here. Okay, so the discussion functions as a place where you turn your data into knowledge. Those numbers there, those figures you have collected and you have put down, we want to turn them into knowledge. We want to make them to have the test of time, to stand tall. All right? And then harness your results to answer your research question. And then relate answers to your research question to the broader discipline. So we turn data into knowledge. We harness our results so that they can address the question we had asked in the introduction and relate our answers to the broader discipline, literature in the area. And that is where we compare to other studies. Now, you have seen this. We started with this from the introduction. Is it the same figure you're seeing?
No, it is inverted.
No, sir. It's different.
Now, this is a cone.
A cone, yes.
Yes.
or an inverted funnel.
Yes, an inverted funnel.
Exactly.
For the introduction, this is what we have on the right, a funnel.
Yes, a funnel.
Yes, a funnel.
But the discussion, we have a cone or inverted this thing.
No, funnel.
Funnel.
Inverted funnel or a cone.
Yes, please.
So this describes how it flows. How the information in the discussion section flows. All right? Meaning that we start from the specifics and when we go broader. While in the introduction, we start from the broader aspect and we go to the specifics.
Okay.
All right. So the question is, in the discussion, we start with a summary. What did the study show? What did the study show? What might that mean? All right. How else could the results be interpreted? Have other studies had similar results or contrary evidence? What are the strengths and weaknesses of our study? And what exactly should happen next? So this thread of information starts from your specific study to broader literature, and then even to broader. What are the implications in the larger sense? All right. So this is the way we do. Begin the answer to the study question. And that question you are trying to provide the answer was asked in the introduction. So the discussion starts with providing an answer to that question, the objective you had there. All right. And then in the middle of it, you talk about other things, explaining why what you found could be, explaining why perhaps if you found any conflict with other studies or similarities, why that could be, what are the mechanisms or theoretical underpinning of how this process works. Then you highlight the upside and the downside of what you have done. And you have conclusion and implications. Now, if you relate the introduction to the discussion, this is the way it works. The end of introduction introduces your research question. The beginning of discussion takes it from there. What you left in the introduction, where you left it, that is where the discussion picks from. For instance, we therefore investigated whether intravenous 4-methylprazole would attenuate the metabolic acidosis and prevent the renal tubular damage associated with ethylene glycol intoxication. All right. In this study, we investigated. Discussion can be like that. All right. But I don't like this. And that is why I brought it there, because many times people start the discussion by stating the introduction again, the objective of the study. This is not a place to state the objective of the study again. Go straight to what was found. This, I have seen it quite often, and that is not the expectation of the discussion. Don't go and start bringing you have stated it there. The reader knows what you have set out to do. Start with our result show. We found this. The findings of these studies were. Okay. So do not begin with a second introduction. Begin with summary of the result, the key results. All right. Get right to the point, which is to answer the questions. The answer to the question is the accumulation of the paper. It deserves the most prominent position in the discussion. And that is the beginning of the discussion. Don't go and begin to move from place to place. And those who are in the biomedical fields also, and perhaps this is something that can also help those who are not in the biomedical. So this is a suggested structure for discussion. Statement of the principal findings, strengths and limitations or weaknesses of the study. And here they ask that you go straight to the strength and limitation after you have stated the principal finding. And the goal is that once you have provided the strength and limitations of your study, the readers can take that into account when interpreting your findings. When interpreting your findings, they can take into account the strengths and limitations of your study. And then you compare your findings, compare the strength of your study, you compare your results in relation to other studies. All right. If there are any differences and if there are similarities. And then you make meaning of your study. What does it mean? How does it operate? What are the theoretical underpinnings that could explain your results? How does your study relate to the field? What are the implications? Implications may be with regards to research, with regard to practice, with regard to policy, and so on and so forth. And finally, you conclude. All right. The discussion was quite quick. And one thing is that in the discussion is a place of so much speculation. And you are free to make those speculations because that gives you opportunity to discuss your study. All right, I have Uchechi, please. Group 8, get ready for your presentation. Yes, oh, Uchechi, you're the one doing that. Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
I don't know. Have you seen my screen, Prof?
Not yet. Not yet.
Actually, Prof. Okay. How about now, Prof?
Yeah, see it now.
Okay. Yes. Good afternoon, everybody.
Can you put it on presentation mode? Eh?
Prof, I don't know how to do that.
If you go down, you see on the right side, you see something that looks like a cup. No, not that side. I mean, you're on the right side. You see the bar that shows, you see 74% there on the right side, down of your screen. On
okay. Okay, yes.
Yeah, so see that thing that looks like a cup before the bar there. So just click that.
Okay, okay.
Great.
Thanks, Prof. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Uchechi Blisoyedikachi, and I'm presenting the nuggets for Group 8. And the topic says 8 reasons why manuscripts are rejected by Peter Trower, who is the editor-in-chief of one of Elsevier's journal called Carbon. And here in his nuggets, he gave us 8 advice on what to do or things that makes our manuscripts not to be accepted. And the first one says if it fails the technical screening. That's if the manuscript is plagiarized or currently under review in another journal. All right. And the second point says if the manuscript is incomplete or it may be lacking. So I have issues here. Okay, the first point says if it fails the technical screening, that's if the manuscript is plagiarized or currently under review in another journal, or if the manuscript is incomplete or maybe lacking elements such as the title, authors, affiliations, keywords, main text, references, and all tables and figures. Also, if the English is not sufficient for the peer review process, or if the figures are not complete or are not clear enough to read. Other point says if the article does not conform to the author's guide for the selected journal. And then finally, if the references are incomplete or very old. Then the second point says if it does not fall within the aim and scope of the selected journal. And he said for the journal Carbon, that's where he's the editor-in-chief, if the matter studied may not contain carbon, that's in his own case, but it's not carbon. And then second point say if the study uses a carbon material, but the focus is on something different. That's he was using carbon as an example. And then if there is no new carbon science in the manuscript presented. Then the third point, according to Trowa, says if the manuscript is incomplete, that is if the article contains observations but is not a full study, or if it discusses findings in relation to some of the work in the field but ignores other very important work. The fourth point, according to Trowa, says if the procedures and the analysis of the data is seen to be defective, that is if the study lacked clear control groups or other comparison matrix, if the study did not conform to recognized procedures or methodology that can be repeated, just like Prof has been saying earlier, I said it should be reproducible. And it says if the analysis is not statistically valid or does not follow the norms of the field. The fifth point, according to Trowa, says if the conclusion cannot be justified on the basis of the rest of the paper, such a paper will not be accepted. And he went further saying if the arguments are not logical enough, unstructured, or invalid. Also, if the data does not support the conclusions and the conclusions ignore large portions of the literature. The sixth in his nugget says, if it's simply a small extension of a different paper, often from among other authors. Sorry, if it's simply a small extension of a different paper, often from the same authors. That is, if the findings are incremental and do not advance the field, and also if the work is clearly part of a larger study, chopped up to make as many articles as possible, just like we practice here, perish or publish or perish. So we want many articles that can make our papers not accepted. Then the seventh in the nugget says, if it is incomprehensible, that's if the language structure of figures are so poor that the merits can't be assessed, or you should have a native English speaker read the paper, even if you are a native English speaker, you need help. Or you can also get language services from some of these journals. And also it says, if it does not provide all the requirements requested by the journal, that manuscript may not be accepted. Then number 8 in his nugget series says, if your manuscript is boring, he says that manuscript is boring if it is not archival, it is not incremental or marginal interest to the field. If the question behind the work is not of interest in the field, and also the work is not of interest to the readers of specific journals. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Group number 8. All right, the abstract. Let me quickly go through this before we go on break. Then I will tell you what to do after the lunch break. Please, if you have not put your group number to your name, please do so. Do so now. The abstract or summary is a miniature of the whole work. It's an appetizer for the whole paper. And we usually answer the following question. Where was the study done? What was the problem or question addressed? What was done? What did the study find? What was the conclusion? And so you can see that this is also the same questions the whole paper is addressing. But in the abstract or the summary, it's a summary of the whole paper. And so you extract specific information. The most important information is an appetizer. Somebody may read your abstract and decide whether to read the whole paper. And that is usually the case. And so if your abstract is not captivating enough and provides sufficient information or clear information that will be used, then it is difficult for the reader. All right, I see Ogochukwu Chiama here raising her hand.
Hello, Prof.
Yes,
Hello,
good
Prof.
afternoon.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Prof, please, my question is concerning the discussion. You in the discussion, and you don't find explanation to a particular finding. You don't find anything that you can use to say this is what happened. What will one do?
So that is why you need to have a theoretical underpinning. So you can't just start a study that is just from nowhere. You don't know how this functions like that. You have to have a basis. What makes you to even suspect and start working on that study? You have to have it. All right.
In that case, you can use the normal, let's say in biology, you cannot use a normal biological, not a journal publication. You can now consult your textbook and use the knowledge you have.
If you have it in a textbook, of course, you can cite the textbook. You can
so just use the knowledge you have on that thing to explain.
Yeah, some things rarely, they may be the first to find it. And so if you find it, some of them are by chance, things happen. They may not really be the question you're pursuing yourself, but by chance they happen. But if they are what you set out to do, then you should have a basis to actually start them. And so if by chance they happen, then you can postulate. You can borrow theories from other places, other maybe closely related areas or even distant areas to explain what could be. So what you will do is that you will now raise it as a hypothesis for other people to pursue going forward. So it could happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then one because you just said it could be the first time. I read one of the nuggets, I think it's group 3 or 2. They said don't use the word first time. when you're writing,
you could
don't
use the
say
word
first time. Don't
you could
say
use
first time.
yeah, I know that some journals discourage that. But if it's really the first time that observation is made, you have to state it. All right? Because it helps. If it's not, if you don't state it, there's an expectation that you should rely to a previous literature on that. And if there is no previous literature on that, then your discussion of what you have found will be that there has been no study on this topic. All right. So you found no basis, no study to compare to. Already the implication of that is that this is the first time this finding is
okay.
in
Thank you,
your
Prof.
listen. Yeah. All right. Incremental. Doris is asking incremental. Incremental means you did this study now. Your research question was, is flooding related to, does it have impact on stunting, mortality, and so on and so forth. So you finish this study. You have options. One is that you can report your findings in one paper of all these outcomes you're looking at. And so you go and instead of doing that,
Who is calling the apple?
oh, we'll have another teacher behind.
Mute yourself.
Sorry.
Okay. So you now decided to be scientifically smart. Yes, that is the word I'm looking for. Scientifically smart. You go to this journal, you report impact of flooding on stunting. You go to another journal, impact of flooding on mortality. You go to another journal, impact of flooding on low birth weight. You go to another journal, you write impact of flooding on stunting is different between boys and girls. You go to another journal, you write impact of flooding is different between different socioeconomic status. What you're doing is that you are doing incremental slicing your data when that whole story can be told easily in one paper so that we'll have a comprehensive picture. But what the researcher is doing here is to generate many papers. All right, and we discourage that. Let me leave it there. I hope that is helpful for you, Doris.
Prof, my hand has been up.
Oh, and it's paining you now.
Yes.
All right, if you can ask quickly because we don't have time, so I can release you and give you what you want to do. Otherwise,
Yes,
we can take that question when we come back.
There are short questions, actually. Prof, you said that we actually should have summary in the first paragraph of the discussion and also summary in the conclusion. So what is the difference actually between the two summaries? That is
so
one.
the summary in the first paragraph of discussion is summary of the results, your key findings, this journey you have taken. What is the key finding you have proposed? Now the discussion, the conclusion is what is the take-home message now from the findings you have, the interpretation you have given it, and for the larger discipline or topic, what can we take home now from here?
Okay, sorry, the other question is some reviewers frown at the idea of repeating any part of the result in the body of the conclusion. Please, what is your take on it? And again, when we are in the explaining the result, it's like we might be repeating the theoretical basis of framework in the body of the discussion. I don't know what you think about
when
that.
you have your results, don't put the discussion should not have numbers of your results. All right, discussion is text. You can present numbers in the results section, but the discussion should not have the numbers. When you are trying to discuss something you have found, you can say that we found this, and then you discuss that. Discussion is not a place where you begin to repeat what you have presented in the results section again. The discussion is a place where you highlight the implication and the meaning of what you have found. It's not a place for repetition. All right. So our time is up, and I see some hands raised up. Please bring them after we come back. I want to send you out now because it's time. I don't want to drag it. But before I send you out, let me tell you something, because you spend 1 hour for your lunch, and when you come back, you will go straight to the breakout sessions. So I want to show you what I would like you to do when you come back from the lunch. Let me see if this. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. If you can take a picture of this, each group take a picture of this. What I want you to do is this. You have 1 hour. After the lunch, you have 1 hour. All right? That 1 hour, I want you to spend it to go to your folder in the Google Drive. And there is a paper, I think we have used that paper when we looked at the introduction. So that paper that starts with result check. Read the result section as a group and consider how it was reported. What type of organizational structure was that? We have discussed chronological and topical. All right, here. What type of organizational structure was used in that paper? All right, then the second one is that result of a study are reported below. This is the result. As a group, rewrite the text by condensing it and making it clearer and simpler for the reader. When returned, each group show on the screen their revision of the text. We didn't say present, we just show on the screen. So make a PowerPoint of your condensing of this and making it clearer for this result. This is what you do, and I hope everyone has taken the picture. So what I would like to do now is
excuse me, Prof. Sorry,
yes,
sir.
please.
Your screen has not been shared all the while you were speaking.
Really?
I didn't see the. Yes, sir. It hadn't shared.
Is that the case for everyone?
No,
no.
Yeah, you can see the screen.
You can see.
Yes, I can see it now. I can see it now.
You can see.
Before everybody was not seeing.
No, we're seeing it.
We're seeing it before we were seeing that.
Okay.
We can see it, but you have
You can see.
Yes. All right. So
yes,
all right.
please.
I hope you have taken the picture.
Yes, I've taken the picture. Yes. Thank
all
you,
right.
Prof.
Then what I will do now is to send you to your breakout sessions so that you can just get straight there when you come. You can join your group already now, and then when you come back, you can go straight there. And those who have not put their group,
Project it again.
Those who have not put their group numbers, then it's a problem because I can't help you here now if you have not done that.
Hello, Prof. Can you please project the screen again? Thank you.
Prof.